and the noble work that you perform in this community by Amin. Dr. Nasser, again, once you're on the line, just let me know. So I just want to start off by saying that we opened last week with the study of the Miraculous Qur'an. We are moving forward. The new question for being posed to our speakers this week is, how does Allah communicate his plan to his servant? What is the evidence in the Quran that supports this? We know that Imam Muhammad shared with us that Allah speaks to each of us, and the sincerity of our heart help us to receive this. Dr. Nasser, as soon as you're on the line, just let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
He's here. Dr. Nasser, I'm going to stop and let you and open the mic to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so very much. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I bear witness that none deserve to be worshipped except for one supreme being alone, Allah the Almighty. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, our prophet, the last, the seal of all of the prophets, sent to all of humanity. We ask Allah's exaltations and blessings upon our leader and teacher, Muhammad the Prophet, upon his companions, the believers, the righteous people all over the world. Amen. And I wish to express my gratitude to our dear sister Muhammad, has taken on this task of continuing the language of Imam Muhammad, of which he said he's a follower of Muhammad the Prophet. So we are directly or indirectly in the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, depends on the point of view that the individual may have. And I want to thank again the other imams, many wise women and other lecturers that come through this program and AM 360, etc. And this is very, very serious dawah. And for many of us, we are unaware of the impact that this is having, not just on our community nationally in the Association of Imam W.D. Muhammad, but this is going around the world. And I'm hearing people echo the thoughts that have been shared by the various speakers over the years. And you're starting to hear it and see it on Facebook, internet, etc. So I want to encourage everyone who's participating to continue. Now, we have, how does Allah communicate to us? And where can you find it in the Quran? So I've been having this that I would like to share the specific surah and ayat. And the basic one is in the 42nd chapter and verse 51. Now, when I say this, it depends on who publishes the Quran. If it doesn't match up, oftentimes what you will have to do is go 3 verses ahead or either 3 verses behind. So if, in other words, if you can't find it in 42:51, it'll probably be in 42:53 or 42:54. As I say, it depends who has printed or published the Quran that you have. So it's there, but it just may be off either earlier or after what I have stated. And so that would mean that it would probably be also in maybe chapter 42, verse probably 47, 48, something like that. But anyway, it's going to be before or after. I'm sorry, 42 and 51. So you have the reference there. So now it says, وَمَا كَانَ لِبَشَرٍ أَن يُكَلِّمُهُ اللَّهُ, and Allah is not going to be speaking to any human being, إِلَّا وَحْيًا, except by revelation, أو من وراء حجاب, or from behind a veil, أو يرسل رسولا, or by a messenger. And the messenger can be an angel, the messenger could be a person, the messenger can be an animal, messenger could be a thing. Messenger now. There are going to be no more prophets, but they're going to be messengers, you know, those things that will give us information. So now I would like to just give one more reference here. And this is from chapter 45 of the Quran, and it is verses 3 through 6. And again, it depends on who's publishing your Quran, but the information is there, you know. And Allah tells us, Inna fis samawati wal ardi, whatever is in the heavens and in the earth, la ayatin lil mu'minin, surely are signs for the believer, you know. And wa fi khalqikum, and in your creation, you know, meaning the human being. وَمَا يُبَثُّ مِنْ دَابَةٍ, and whatever is the diversity among the animals. آيَاتٌ لِلْقَوْمِ يُوقِنُونَ, and our signs, not one time, many, many times, it's a plural form of the Arabic word. لِقَوْمٍ, for a people. This is beautiful here. This is what you call an indefinite noun. And an indefinite noun means that it is not specific, in this case, to any one person, nor any one race. So here the Quran is letting you know that knowledge and education did not come from any one person or any one race, particularly in our time, with so much emphasis that all knowledge trying to come from the white man, or come from some religious group, the Jews, as if everybody else in the world is dummy. You see? So the Quran is the expression, is equality, that the universe has been set up by Allah as a communicator. You know how you drive your car and you're on the road and you see a billboard here and a billboard there. Sometimes you see electric signs flashing, right? Telling you this is where you can buy this product, or you see a sign on the road that says Detroit, 50 more miles to go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, these signs, electronic, written, and et cetera, have been patterned after this verse in the Quran. Inna fis samawati wal ardi, whatever is in the heavens and the earth, la ayatin, are surely signs. So the first sign is what Allah placed in the universe. And you'll know, some of us might be able to remember when we were in elementary school, grammar school, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and you first walked into that classroom. And if you have small children and you go visit that classroom, oftentimes you see letters around the wall, usually near the ceiling and around the wall, the ABC letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that, right? And the little baby walks in there, and the small child, kindergarten or first grade, he doesn't know what those letters are. They have no meaning to him. But as he works with those letters, he or she, that child eventually begins to understand the shapes and the meanings that come from the shapes that's in that kindergarten classroom on the wall. And they still do it nowadays, I'm certain. Well, this is a sign of what Allah has done in the entire universe. The entire universe in the religion of Islam. The universe is the classroom for the human being. And, you know, even in our English, the hint is there, universe. Verse, you know, means knowledge or statement. And uni means unified. It means one, but it means unified. That no matter what you look at, a blade of grass has knowledge in it. A rock has knowledge in it. Water has knowledge in it. Air as knowledge in it. And so these people, after the Quran came from the Middle East, mainly from Morocco, that area, and went into Europe, this concept in the Quran was taken up, and we began to see man developing his sciences. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't in existence before the coming of the Quran on the European continent. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that they went to sleep on the knowledge that they had. The Greeks, they say it was the father of philosophy or the father of math, and all that kind of stuff. Now, that's another story. Again, pointing out one people being the father of this and the father of that. And this is why we have this verse in the Quran that says, Ayatul li qawmin yuqinun. And there are signs for any people who have certainty. Okay? And it goes, وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. And even the alternation of the night and the day. وَمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ, and whatever Allah sends down, مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, from the sky, مِنْ رِزْقٍ, of the provision, فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْضَ, and He gives the life to earth. So this is a sign, another sign of how Allah communicates. So now, going back to the original statement, Allah, He speaks only from behind a veil. 2, He speaks by sending a messenger. And we have this as the basic way for revelation or information coming from Allah to the human being. But Allah does not speak directly to the human being. He speaks indirectly. And we have this because of the problems, especially nowadays, where you say, and so-and-so is a prophet. Right now, this is being said in other religious traditions, not in the Islamic religious traditions. So Allah is letting us know that anybody that makes this kind of statement, he's either ignorant or he's a devil, because he is seeking a position of superiority over all other human beings. So as we read further in the Quran, and I'll just give you these references. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of references, but since this was one of the questions, I want you to at least have it. Again, if you read in chapter 13 of the Quran, verse 13 and 39, it says, Yamhullahu, and Allah eliminates ma yashahu, whatever He desires, wa yuthbitu, and He confirms or He establishes. Some of the word sabata means to make firm. Wa indahu, and with Him, is the mother of the book. This is our Quran says. Okay, so we pride ourselves in graduating from this university, graduating from that university, and we studied under this professor, so on and so on and so forth, right? But the university, even the concept itself, is patterned to give us wisdom in terms of if we give some man credit because of he being a professor, he has written this book, he's been teaching for 40 years, he might be the leader in his field, right? But what we have to understand is that the Quran is saying, where did he get the knowledge from? Okay, he got the knowledge from studying the universe. As we were saying, the universe is broadcasting knowledge, like the electric sign that flashes. Everything in the universe is broadcasting knowledge and information. It will affect your eyes. It will affect your hearing. It affects your senses that's all over your physical body. And the beauty of this is that we know that the mother of the book is the universe itself, all knowledge, comes out of the universe. And then we understand that the human that is being made begins to develop by way of his faculties. And those faculties, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, begin to pick up information and knowledge from the external world that that human being has been born into. And then what we have is we have how the Imam had mentioned to us earlier, Imam Muhammad, expanding on the gift from Prophet Muhammad, this three principles or three developmental stages, and one being the flesh form, the second being the knowledge form, and the third being the moral or the spiritual form, you know. So the Almighty, He communicates with the human being on the level that he is on as he evolves or develops. So the nature of the flesh form is to awaken your mind. And if it has to do it, sometimes it'll aggravate you. Sometimes it'll frustrate you. And what I mean by that, it'll aggravate you by being hungry. It will aggravate you by being thirsty. And when we're young and we're small, we don't know what this feeling is. What little small baby that's 6 hours old or 6 months old knows what this is. No, it's the divine mechanism that Allah placed in the physical nature to awaken the mind. And as the body continues to aggravate, pretty soon the mind is awakened, and the mind then knows how to bring peace inside the stomach with food or water or what have you. And so this is keeping you and I in motion, trying to satisfy it for the sake of having physical life, right? You eat food for the sake of having physical life. And on that first level, which is the flesh form, you and I, we accept to be driven by the world without. So the world on the outside is speaking to us biologically through hunger, through thirst, but the whole objective is to awaken the human thinking. So the flesh form is the first form. And if we do not come into the second form, then that flesh form then becomes a selfish kingdom, like the animal. And it then will pull against the natural motion towards Allah. And then it will begin to reach for vain things to satisfy itself. You see? But there's a force within you and I that wants something at the expense of every other force and is trying to get all those other forces to work with it to accomplish its goal. And that is the will of Allah within you. So we have these elements now, and inshallah, I'll try to share this with you. You know, you have air, which we call that which we breathe. When it is not in motion, it is called air. But when air takes on movement, it is called wind. W-I-N-D. Okay? But if it's not moving, it's air. But once it gets into motion, it's called wind. Now, air represents the spiritual teaching or nature. We can say that, right? Then you have land. And what is the function of land? Land is that which contains water, or it's symbolic of laws. It contains that which regulates society. And then we have water. And the nature of water has many, many wonderful properties, as you know. But water has to be contained. It's put in a container, and the water takes the shape of its container. If this container is round, the water will look round. If the container is triangular, it'll take that shape. If the container is rectangular or square, it'll take that shape. But now, one of the most beautiful properties of water is that it has the property to clean and to remove filth. And if by chance, in removing filth, the filth is in the water will respond to the sunlight, and it will rise up towards the sunlight and leave the filth behind. So this is Allah talking to the human being, that first of all, I made the human being a moral creature. And if after he's 13 years old, 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, if he's involved in something indecent, that's not his original nature. All he has to have is the sun in his mind. He has to have light in his head. And this is scriptural teaching. And as he has the scriptural teachings in his head or her head, and they're rehearsing this to themselves, believe this or not, it has the attracting power to raise the moral nature up out of any indecent habit that the individual may have. So just as water is on the ground and it responds from the ground, or it responds from a body of lake of water or ocean, and that water will rise up towards the sun, the same thing happens with the human being. The human being, he's a thinking creature. He's a creature of conscience. He's a mental body. And in order to clean him, you just cannot use soap and water. You have to clean the person within with the body of knowledge, because knowledge is the nature of his inner being. And no human being can come to light until knowledge reaches that potent seed or life germ in the person's mind, causing him to grow. So everything in this material environment does just that. But the problem is, they give this understanding only to a handful of people, and we call them scientists. And we laugh at them because they wear these big bifocal glasses, and they use these polysyllabic terminology that we can't understand, and we don't realize that by intent to intimidate us, to intimidate us in mathematics, to intimidate us to go into physics, to intimidate us to go into chemistry. What do we mean by this? Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, when you teach, make it easy for the student. This is the teachings of Muhammad the Prophet. So those people in education, I'm not talking about the average teacher that you meet. I'm talking about the teachers of the teachers, the people who come up with the education methodology. They put these difficult terms in the instructing knowledge. And that's to turn off, to put fear into the average person who has a natural inclination for mathematics. Mathematics is in the nature of the human being. Chemistry is in the nature of the human being, as the Qur'an says. And there are signs in you. In your halqikum. There are signs in every single one of you. So you have the process of nature going on in you. You're the chemistry. You know, like, what is water? Water is chemistry. What is it? H2O. It's not hydrogen and oxygen inside your physical body. It's in your physical body. And once it gets in the physical body knows without going to college. I'm not talking about your mind now. I'm talking about your body. Your body knows how to break down the molecules of water and send them to the kidneys and to the lungs to maintain the process of life for the human being. So even the self of the person has education that Allah has clocked in the individual genetically. It is the human mind that has to come into the process of education. So anyway, we go back to this concept that Allah is speaking to you not only with words, you know, English, German, French, etc., but Allah is speaking with all objects in the creation. And these objects, everything are messages. And it is that which reaches your mind. And they, in our religious language, are called the words of God. And these form your mind. And these form your personality originally. So all of us have two personalities. All of us right now. We have the personality that came from the womb of our mother, okay? And we have the personality that was formed as we were 6 months old and 9 months old and a year old and 3 years old. That personality was formed by every object in creation. Sunlight spoke to us. Air spoke to us. Thunder spoke to us. And we just go on and on and on. And those things were the first foundation knowledge for every human being. And upon those things, we build our mathematics. We build our optometry. We build our banking. You see? But we had to have a foundation. We had to have a framework. And that framework is the entire universe with all of its elements in it, untouched by man. And that is why we have this unfailing potential that Islam speaks about. Okay? So now, we, several years ago, that we can consider what he was saying to us. You are really a creation of words. And nothing can make a man, or nothing can make a woman, but words. You see? Now, the beauty of this is you look at our situation as African Americans. Now, we were broke. All our knowledge and tradition has been taken away from us, right? And we suffer from that. But that original person that Allah made, even if it's 400 years ago, that original person can be made again. The human being can be born again. But he doesn't need a second biological birth. He needs a second mental birth. And so all we have to do is take that human being and put him in the natural environment, take him away from all of this artificial internet with all of its pornography and perverted influences, and put that human being in the natural environment, leave him there for at least a year, he will come back as that natural person that Allah made in the beginning. And there's a phrase in the Quran where it says, and Allah, yubdu wa yu'i. Yubdu means bada'a. Bada'a means to make first. This is the Quran now. Okay, this is not me. And then it says, yubdu wa yu'i. And he repeats. So meaning that he started the human being off first. Who started him? God started him off. With everything in the environment, not with truth to the person. Okay? So truth is the foundation. It's kind of like when you see dirt, right? You go outside, you see grass, and you see dirt. The dirt is there. You say dirt, or call it soil, whatever you want to call it. That's what you see first. But the house that you live in right now, that house that you live in, you see the floor. You cannot see the soil. You see the floor. You can't see the grass. So the soil or the grass is covered up by the foundation of your house. So likewise it is with the human being. The soil for the human being is his original nature. And his first thinking that he had. And then culture that we live in, it puts a block or puts some concrete over that first nature. So we have this wonderful thing, and we thank our Almighty God Allah and our dear sister for giving us this concept, which has been a great blessing for all of us to come into. And what it is saying to us in our religion, Islam, it says to this: am I meeting the challenge of life? This is all of us. We have to ask this question. Or am I meeting the challenge of life? Or am I just caught up in compulsive gravity of self-gratification? And if you and I are in that situation, then you are incapable of intelligent thought. And why is this? Because man is the product of his activities. Man is formed by the habits that he gives himself to over and over. And those habits, whatever you give yourself to, have a way of affecting your mind and a way of affecting and shaping. My activities form me. And Allah has created human beings with the capacity and the strength to surmount, to overcome the forces in his environment and then take charge of his environment. Now, we're not talking about this in the context of the sun, moon, and stars. No. We're talking about the social environment, the cultural environment. That's what we have to take over because that's what's hurting us. That is what the harm is. And so, we have in the Quran where it says, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifatan, where Allah says, and surely I am going to place a khalifa in the earth, right? And so, many people, they kind of get a little lost. And most of these concepts I'm giving to you, they're from Imam Muhammad. They're not from me. I don't mind sharing that, I have some things that I like to say, but I don't think it's as impactful as what he has brought. So anyway, he was telling us about that verse in the Quran where Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifatan. If you read the knowledge that's in creation and you follow that knowledge, then you can become the leader. See? Khalifa. And then in becoming the leader, then the Khalifa then is to make the environment more suitable to what we are in our excellence. Okay? The physical body is perfect. It is the mind that needs a knowledge that is perfect to complement that body. So if you do not have a Quran and you don't have any truthful book anywhere, all you have to do is read what Allah placed in nature. Nature tells the truth. Nature tells fact. Nature. Even the people who call themselves atheists, they will not tell you that nature lies. They won't tell you that. I've heard the recent conversation in the field of academia where they're trying to find a gene, in your chromosome, the genes that give you the color to your hair, the color of your eye, and your texture of your skin. The genes does that. And it's on the chromosome, what they call a chromatid, right? And so they're struggling and they're looking all that they can to find an alcoholic gene so that the alcoholic conscience won't bother. I'm telling you what's going on, right? But now for you Muslims, you know where I'm about to tell you what the Imam has said to us. He said that if there's any issue in the society, for you, the Muslims, just go back to the Quran and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, and you will find the answer there. So in the Quran it says, and look in the heavens and the earth, and you will find no flaw. You remember reading in the Quran? You did it just a few weeks ago, as you read 1/30 of the Quran every day for month of Ramadan, right? So now then it says, and look a second time, and your vision will come back to you tired and worn out. And the average person like me, I thought, okay, let's talk about get a telescope, get the Hubble telescope, and all these different telescopes. Yeah, it is talking about it. Yes, it is. It's talking about if there's no flaw in the universe externally. That's the macro universe, where the sun, moon, and stars are. It's also talking about there's no flaws in the micro universe. You, the individual. So it is saying the flesh is not sinful. That's what it's saying. It's saying there's no alcoholic genes. That's what it's saying. It's saying there's no gay genes. I'm telling you. And look, I'm going to say this and I got to end because I want to show you how important this is. Now they're saying that this gene, this alcoholic gene, or the gay gene, they're giving all these genes. And you know who they're tying it to? They're tying it to women. Now you remember when you was in high school and you studied biology. Now you can see the reason for studying it. In the Quran in chapter 75, it tells you that it is the man that determines the male or female gender. And we used to blame the women. The average guy, even I did when I was ignorant, stupid. I would tell my wife, I want a son, I want a son. And if a daughter was born, I would blame her. And it wasn't until Allah blessed us with, listen to you, man, Muhammad, that gave the sisters the freedom in our lifetime that Prophet Muhammad gave. He was the first women's liberation movement leader. Muhammad the Prophet, the Qur'an. Because in the Quran, it frees the woman. It says that the male is the one who determines if the child is going to be masculine or feminine. Now, just listen to me. I'm only going to be about another 2-3 minutes, but I'm making this point to tie something into you. In other religions, it says the woman is the downfall of man, not Islam. We got to straighten this out now, okay? And they say that it's Eve, and Eve was the one that brought Adam down. You will not find that in the Quran. Why? Because you can't find it in nature. And this is where the other religious efforts went all in. They didn't do this intentionally. They were searching and they made a mistake. So who did they blame for the downfall of man? The woman. Okay? Now, I'm telling you this because now you in modern time and the misinterpretation of religion and bringing the problem to the woman, it still has raised and reared its head again in science. And what am I talking about? They're saying that this alcoholic gene that they're trying to find, or this dope gene that they're trying to find, or this gay gene, you know what they say it is? I'll tell you. It says it's 3, that means chromosome number 3, and the letter Q, that means a long arm. I'm talking to the biologists on this line. They know what I'm saying. And it's the region, I think 3, and the band is 8. This is how you write scientific notation to find a gene on a chromatid. I'm giving this kind of detailed information for those who think we don't know what we're talking about. If we don't know Arabic or we don't know science, that's envy and jealousy. Those people are the biggest fools that you have, saying that there's no God. Isn't that stupid? But you study what God has done. You so wrapped up into the creation, the gift of God, that you don't give God the credit. Who gave you that gift? Who gave you the math? Who gave you the science? God did it. So anyway, going back to the point I'm trying to make, they started off with the problem in religion, blaming the woman for the downfall of man, and that same mistaken and misinterpretation of scripture has come into the misinterpretation of science, and they are misinterpreting the gene the same way they have misinterpreted the religion. So here you got Prophet Muhammad has to come and liberate the woman again. They are saying that the gay gene is on the female chromosome or the female chromatid. I hope you sisters are listening to this. This is why the Quran is so important. And this is going out not just to Muslim women. The Christian women have to hear this also. Okay? And don't accept that. And I have about, I would say, 50 articles I can give you if you want them. And I'll send you to learn. All these different scientists are trying to arrive to find there's an alcoholic gene or there's a gay gene. You see what I mean? And the Quran is saving you trouble. It says, look out through the universe with your vision. The vision that you have with the telescope looking out at the stars, moon, and sky, and look at the microscope to look at the small universe, right? And your vision is going to come back to you tired and worn out. The Quran has already predicted you're not going to be able to find corruption in the human creation or in the material matter creation that Allah originated. So as I conclude, give me 30 seconds. You know how it says, the prophet says, and when you look at an animal is born without any defects. This is a hadith of Prophet Muhammad. And it says every human being is born, we say, born a Muslim. It doesn't say that in Arabic. It says, ala fitri. Those who know Arabic, they'll tell you that what I'm telling you is right. Ala fitri. That's a preposition with the noun, it's the object of the preposition. But anyway, what it is saying is that there are no animals that are born a defect. And it is to say that if you have a problem with a human being, it is because their parents have created that part. Not necessarily the genetic parent, but more importantly, the cultural parent, the parent on television, the parent on radio, those parents that put germs to create and give birth to an artificial personality in the natural original body. The original body has a right to original thinking. But what we have is original body with artificial thinking. And so we have originality of your physiology at war with artificiality in the mentality from the culture. So you have artificiality placed over originality, and the individual never have peace. So therefore, he seeks reefers, he seeks wine. Most people don't know what's driving them. You see. So we're thankful to Allah, and I'm going to be very, very respectful. This is a big, serious topic. I hope you can appreciate the depth of it. You know, how Allah blessed Prophet Muhammad to have this wisdom. And now we are unzipping it. You know, this 1,400 years ago, and look at all the wisdom that we're sharing right now. How you can see it is still straightening out science. And, you know, about 50 years ago, they had a statement about the atom, you know, and they would say there's an electron that rotates around the atom. And they say that one atom has an electron and the next atom does not have an electron. So the atom that does not have an electron will steal the electron from the atom that does have it. They taught this in colleges. I remember this teaching, and the Imam, Nuruddin. Imam Nuruddin, he told me, he said, Nasir, they just straighten that out now. Boy, he tickled me because we put so much pressure on them. The same lie that they told about the woman being the downfall of man is the same lie that continued with the gay gene being on the woman chromatid, the woman chromosome. And the same lie that they went in chemistry to say that one atom will steal an electron from another atom. I'm trying to show you how Allah communicates and how they misread. Some of them are innocent in misreading the creation. But this other element is shaitan, Satan. You see? So Allah tells you in the Quran, and fight the schemes of Satan. That's what we're doing now. He didn't tell you to fight Satan, to fight his schemes, for his schemes are ever weak. So we're fighting it. So if one atom is taking an electron from another atom, what is that in Islam? How do you philosophically describe that? You describe it as charity. The atoms don't steal, they share charity. You see, this is the beauty. Allahu Akbar. So may Allah reward all of you. And I'm trying to inspire the other imams and their sisters, you know. So when I listen to you guys, I get excited, you know. I go, I got to study a little harder. Okay, so I went way over time. My wife told me coming in. Oh, what time is it?
Dr. Nasir, I just want to say to the listeners, you know, Dr. Nasir is a doctor, and you know he and his wife both are doctors, and like he said, this topic is a big topic, and the fact that, you know, Dr. Nasir, you dedicate your time to teach us, to learn this from the Quran, we are really grateful. I'm telling you, when people hear that you're going to speak to us, we know you're going to go over time, Dr. Nasir, and we expect you to go over time, Dr. Nasir. So please don't rush with us, because we're grateful. I know Sister Halima sits there and pulling your coat and saying, okay, Nasir, it's time. But we are grateful for the time that you give us, because this is a big topic.
It is. And we have some wonderful events, especially the young ones. Woo! Wazir, Rashad in Atlanta, Tyree in Houston. I'm telling you, there are more. So I can't think of the name of it because I'm trying to say so many young names. I'm trying to tell the young men and young women, I listen to you. I thank Allah for you. And I hope that I inspire you to better talk.
Thank you.
Because I got my paper too. You're welcome. May Allah reward you.
So, thank you. So, just so everyone knows on the line that this is a big topic. And so next week we're going to have Sister Lisa, who will speak on the same topic. She's going to be followed by Imam Wazir, and then Imam Yahya will close us out on this topic of how does Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, speak to us directly. I also want you to know that moving forward, Naima will be placing these lectures in the newsletter. So the newsletter you got yesterday will have Imam Rashad's talk from last week. Next Saturday, inshallah, Dr. Nasir's talk will be in the newsletter. All you have to do is click it and listen to it. It'll be there for your convenience because many of you keep writing and saying, we want to hear the lectures again. It's on the website, but Naima is placing it in the newsletter for your convenience. So know that. The other, I got messages asking about last week when I recommended a program called All in the Fight for Democracy with Stacey Abrams. It is showing on YouTube and Netflix. She explains voter suppression, and it is urgent that we understand it, we engage in it, and we preserve the right to vote. It is urgent because it is the only way that we're going to gain social, economic, and have a voice in this system that we live in, the system of democracy. Lastly, if you are a loan officer in banking, please send me an email. If you are a loan officer in banking, if you have knowledge of lending loans, please send me an email. We have messages that need to understand how to benefit from the equity in the properties that they own. And so we need your assistance. We're building a model community and we depend on you. So if you are a loan officer, please send me an email. And lastly, many of you have texted me that you know people who cannot get on the conference line. In the newsletter, there's two options. There's AM 360 and there's New Freedom Exchange. All you have to do is click on those and the talk from Study Al-Islam will be live on AM 360 and New Freedom Exchange. So until next week, again, Lisa will be with us. She will bring you similar, same, but from her perspective on how she delivers information to us from the Quran. And we are looking forward to it because we know she's a dynamic sister. And so until next week, please be safe. Assalamu alaikum, your sister and friend. Assalamu alaikum.